lessons involved, contracts. Welcome back to Pisces TV with Montana B. This is a very special reading for the collective, all right? My star seeds, all of my indigo, rainbow, crystal babies, my mystical, magical ones. I am doing a special reading for us, okay? Whatever your sun, moon, Venus sign is, this is for the collective, all right? So I wanted to do kind of like the ascension process update. Haven't done these in a while, but it is very important and essential to your growth. This channel, my messages, you know, it's all a part of it as what started this channel actually. Okay, so your personal growth, my personal growth, where we're at with that, what we can expect, challenges or whatever. So I have shuffled the cards out, and as we get started, these are some of my favorite cards. I got these on Etsy, and she makes these personally, so I'll try to put it in the description box. I forgot her name offhand. I do think her name is like Mary or something, but you try to search Mary on Etsy and I'll tell her who you'll get. So real quick, just want to say, if you are new to the channel, or, you know, for my returners, check the description box. There's always information there. My contact info, how to reach me online at iBuns on Instagram and Twitter. There's a link to my Etsy store where you can purchase your own products and services, as well as book personal readings. If you're interested in joining us in the membership section or on the membership platform, the link to Patreon is in the description box. And here on YouTube, we have a member section. We have the merchandise, as well as the community board, where I post a lot of the coupon codes for the Black Friday specials, the products and services up close and personal, and the contest. If you're interested in winning your own personal reading from me, I'm choosing multiple people each month, not just one person. So let's go ahead and get into your reading with the current situation right here, okay? Now, looking at this card, I love these cards. This one is the riddle. So off top, just intuitively, when I think about the riddle, I think about something being figured out. I think about possible games being played, any challenges as they're going in a circle. Could talk about the maze, like making your way through something. Or it also talks about like this key that kind of unlocks something. You know, when we watch I don't care if it's horror films or whatever you're doing, it's like there's a code within the riddle. So we could be talking about light codes or just something to be on watch for, and synchronicities, because it's kind of like I'm gonna be slick about getting you some information or telling you something, and you have to read in between the lines or something like that. Now that's just intuitively. I have downloaded the guidebook because it didn't come with the deck, and I'm going to read this card's description directly from the guidebook, all right? So the riddles are the kind of puzzles that require one to think around corners or outside of the box, see, in order to solve, all right? It's easy to get stuck within a box in life, and we even give the box walls that are even more solid, okay? However, if there is a riddle on its way to you, the safety and solidity can become a cause of great frustration. So it's kind of like you have to be grounded, you have to be observant, you have to be patient, paying attention to details without overanalyzing it. Because if you, like, sometimes, you know, you see people say it ain't that deep or something like that. So if you go too far in it, you can get lost, kind of like the rabbit hole. But at the same time, it's like you can make your way through it by, I feel, keeping it simple. Okay? So the current energy just talks about making our way through. Like I said, some codes, some synchronicity, some answers are coming to you. And it could even be some curveballs for some of us, since there was an element of, you know, could be great frustration and the need to think outside of the box. Think around the corners, right? So it's kind of like the Emperor Square, and you kind of thinking, like I said, out of the box and around the corners. You see how they threw that out there? So I'm even getting like the Emperor vibes. Could be about stability or the need for stability, which is why I said to stay grounded. Or this could even be talking about your stability, energetically, financially, spiritually, whatever the case may be. Now, in the center of the reading, we have possible challenges for some of us. And 3 cards came out. Now, this one came out upright, right? The other 2 cards were flipped over. Some readers will say, okay, I'm just going to take the card that I see. I like to tell the story behind the whole thing, okay? So while we'll read the actual guidebook from Flora Form, I'm also going to read these cards, all right? So cute, right? You may say, what's cute about that? Because we have the lighthouse and we have the storm. Now, wouldn't it be hard to see a lighthouse in a storm or through fog, where we talked about cloudiness and confusion, and then the lighthouse is kind of representing, like, I don't want to say savior, but it's kind of like help. Like if you've been in the ocean, if you've been in your emotions, your consciousness, the lighthouse kind of gives you a direction to shore, or just brings you out of the storm, gives you some direction when you don't, necessarily have signs up. So when I said peeping the synchronicities, the signs or whatever, maybe you don't see them. So this lighthouse may help with that. Look at the star. Okay, I'm thinking about the North Star, even though this isn't the North position of the card. But when I think about North Star, I get Gemini, I get Lovers, I get Aquarian energy. So both of those are related to air and Mercury. Okay, may want to check to see what they're doing astrologically or where that falls in your chart. But let's read from the guidebook about the storm and the lighthouse. Okay, let's see what we got here. I want to start with the storm. We'll do that. So let's see, because it's a pretty big book. She doesn't have like book. It's actually like a large printout sheet. The storm. All right, so we'll pick it up, get that energy. Couple towers, okay? Maybe something unexpected. Doesn't have to be bad. Could be for better or worse, whatever. But this card means that there might be a change of some sort in your path. See, in your path, the North Star, your purpose, what did I say? Merging fronts swirl. There is electricity in the air, and the winds are high. There is no ordinary day, for the storm is the height of chaos in nature. Humans are only beginning to understand the workings of a storm, and until recently, hardly anything was known about lightning. Outside of the damage a storm causes, it is a beautiful thing. It is full of extremes and possibilities and the unknown. So that's kind of dope. Didn't I say it wasn't all doom and gloom when you think about the storm? It's like at least something mystical and magical is happening. There's not this stale stuckness. Like the wind is flowing, the lightning is out or whatever. Now look at this. When we talk about lightning in the storm, with ironically the two little thunderbolts of the tower, now we have a light tower. Isn't that cool? So with the lighthouse, right, which could be just I don't know, I like how they describe the lightning, and then we have lighthouse here. So let me pull up lighthouse if I can. This book is so big. Okay. The lighthouse helps ships see dangerous rocks when they approach the shores, and also lets the ship crew know that there is land nearby. Lighthouses are built at the edge between materialistic and mathematical reality and neighboring worlds. It provides you hear that? Oh my God, that is so funny. It provides a beacon to assist in safe passage between realms. Okay, so when we talk about the 3D and the 5D, and we talk about the guides and following the light and not being distracted by the storms or weathering the storms or even taking advantage of the storm, okay, this lighthouse is an indication of the direction of your progress, of success, of ships coming in. You could be on the ship coming in, or you can be on shore waiting for the ships to come in. But I like that, okay? So now let's wrap it together with Flora Fam. Now, I like the stability. I like the money. I like even materialism and physical world came up in these cards. Emperor energy came up in these cards out of nowhere. And then when I look at the Flora Form, I look at DNA. In some of my decks, I've seen the DNA in the Eight of Pentacles. And then with this Tree of Life, with the little roots and stuff like that, I've seen that in the Ten of Pentacles. So we're still grounded. It's still something about earth energy, physical life, or materialism, okay, for some of us. So this guidebook can have a totally different description, which is fine. I just like doing the intuitive, reading first. And so far, so good. I haven't been completely off, right? So the Flora Form is in touch with individual cells, DNA, and the molecular building blocks that are the very basis of carbon-based life. All right. So she can speak the very language of growth itself because she can communicate with everything that grows. So just the whole plant, not just the whole plant, the whole cell or the whole forest. So this is kind of like spirit, where it's not just the family, it's not just you, it's not just your body, it's not just your ears, it's not something you see. This is to the minimalist, what is that molecule, right? To the very essence of life and communicating with it, kind of like this tree of life. I'm getting like Mother Gaia, and even bigger than that, like source, like everything, the ability to connect with us all. But in this earthy kind of energy, I would say Gaia, who is nature, and it's like connected to every living organism like on this planet. So that's kind of cool. I do like earth. We have water, we have wind, and then this glass orb, look at that fire energy. So I definitely feel that there's a level of completion here. There are many signs, and I don't know if it's just me. Everybody doesn't like puzzles and obstacle courses or challenges, but I don't really like to be bored. And so far, these cards with the riddle, the storm, the lighthouse, Gaia, it's kind of like an adventure. Sounds like an adventure to me. So now with the possible outcome or advice, we have the glass orb. This reminds me of the Lover's card, no lie, when I saw it, because it's like this as above, so below energy. And I did initially say, oh, they're trapped in the glass, and I don't like traps, but look at this. The energy of the storm, it's like the same kind of colorism, right? And then we have the lighthouse just barely up there, so needing to see above the clouds kind of energy, right? Could be reaching, not sure. I like it. But let's read from the glass orb, okay? I always like to talk about the Lovers. I think this is it. Let's see. Orb. Do you see orbs? Orbs is also spirit's energy too, right? Or look, where it talks about tradition, past life, present, spirits, the other realms. That's kind of dope. Somebody guiding you through the maze. The glass orb. Once upon a time, there was a wizard who created many enchanted orbs. Each was a powerful magical tool with unique abilities and a kind of sentience. Okay? The balls were much too powerful to fall into the wrong hands, so anyone who dared to pick one up would fall under an enchantment. It was a cruel spell, for only the ones who could recover could truly become the master of the sphere. The one unsuited would rather either find the orb useless or become caught in the merciless trap. So as the adventurer would fall deeper and deeper into the spell, they would forget the world around and within them, seeing only what the ball would reveal. Use of the ball would offer the feeling time. It has all the spiritual resources one ever needs during a trial. It's worth the time and effort to practice imagining such a place during a peaceful time so that you can visit with more ease when you're facing difficulties. Now, wait a minute. I think, hold on, y'all. Did I do that right? I'm just trying to make sure. Because you know how like the page would go down the next page? Or does it go like up and over the other page? So I'm just trying to make sure. Sorry. Because it's like I had two different observations from reading that. Alright? So let's try this one more time. The glass orb. I think I did it right though. It was just like, okay. So if I'm here, right? Make sure. Okay, I did it wrong. I know I did because I was like, that don't make no sense. Okay, so let's start with the second paragraph again, guys. As the adventurer would fall deeper and deeper into the spell, they would forget the world around and within them, seeing only what the ball would reveal. Use of the ball would only offer, there we go, the feeling of great power and pleasure. It was almost impossible for many to escape the trap. Those who would notice the enchantment would wither away entirely, spending the rest of their days gazing into the ball, eventually forgetting basic necessities such as food and sleep. So, baby, this is like power struck on something. But didn't, at the beginning, it showed the great strength of it, but it wasn't for everybody, okay? What only the occasional adventure... Oh, look, didn't I say this sounds like an adventure? Look at this. It says, what only the occasional adventurer discovers was that the enchantment was actually a puzzle. Look at the riddle, okay? Part of the solution lay in being observant enough to realize the one's reality had become a mere construct. The other part lay in the finding of the exit, from which one would emerge as if from a dream. Only then would the orb decide that the adventurer was fit to use it, for it was much too powerful to fall into the wrong hands. The story is an allegory. The experience of being engrossed in a particular mind frame can be useful and fun, but when one's mind is closed to any other possibilities, it can lead to dangerous myopias, chaos. Magicians sometimes create whole structures that they believe in fully and then abandon when they get bored, just to practice engaging the mind and then releasing it. It's a challenging game of mental flexibility. One way of finding the exit to a mental glass orb could be to take one's favorite argument to the logical extreme and see where the edges begin to dither. Where do the edges of the glass orb lie? Oh my gosh. Okay. Then I tell you, some of them are lengthy. Like, some of the card descriptions are like 3, 4, 5 paragraphs long. So I could have read it and then made my own, analysis or, assumption of it or summary of it. But I want you to hear all of it. Didn't that sound exciting? If you followed me, because it's really tiny and I'm kind of leaning over to read it, it's no excuse. But I swear, like, it's like smaller than college print, right? 2 times, 3 times smaller than college print, and it's all together like this. And so I tried my best. I think I did okay. So check this out. The magician, the riddle, the edges, thinking outside of the box, and then the mental trap. Now, it had me sucked in with thinking about life, as I talked about Gaia, and I talked about the earth, and I talked about guides, and I talked about confusion, and how we are on earth kind of like under the clouds, right? The atmosphere, you have to break through the atmosphere to get into the outer sphere, right? Which kind of had me sucked in on some conspiracy theory, like sci-fi stuff, because when I watched The Matrix, weren't they really all sleep, dreaming? And whatever life they were living was kind of like a consciousness, because their true self was like sleep or in a dream. And they were living this whole life while they were asleep or under whatever they were under, could be under the spell or whatever, sedation, which is kind of like confusion and clouds. And when they woke up, it was merely a dream. That's crazy. So the riddle, the maze, the matrix, the dream, consciousness, sleep, being trapped. What if someone couldn't wake up because they thought the dream was real? And then it's like, when you wake up, how do you know you woke? Because I saw, what was that? Who watches Netflix? There's a movie called The 3%. And they do challenges to get to the offshore. And look at that, the lighthouse. It was called the offshore, where, some people who lived in conditions that looked a lot like this did challenges or whatever to get to a better life, right? And so one guy was doing a challenge where they put him under, and it was kind of like that virtual reality thing. And so he thought he was waking up. He thought the challenge was complete, but he went home and everything's, some stuff was happening. And then she woke him up. So it's kind of like he woke up twice. And then so seeing that and how realistic it was after waking up, if I was him, I wouldn't even trust that I ever woke up. So anyway, this was entertaining to say the least. I do love these cards. I am going to use them more often. I do hope that you pull from it whatever is good for you. I also am very practical. And besides the entertainment that I received from reading this and the multiple understandings that I kind of, pinched out of it, being logical, I see that your mind, your thinking, what you're not thinking, where you want to go, where you are, and some powers involved. Your own personal powers and the powers of the materialism around it. Okay? To not be, because that's kind of cool. It's like this orb is so powerful. That is so cool. Because all of the movies that we talk about on the community board, I'm kind of getting a feeling of when I watched The Good Place. Do you remember at the end of the movie, the orb kind of like they didn't want to be people. They didn't want to be archangels. They had lived so long. They got so bored. And they had the ability to be these orbs. And at the end of the movie, the orb, this guy was throwing something in the trash, but it was important. This piece of mail was important to who, the recipient was or whatever. So it got to his house and it was the wrong address and he was just going to throw it in the trash. But this little orb came in the movie and kind of like touched, laid on the shoulder or whatever. And that you could see his mind change. He picked the letter up out of the trash and gave it to the person who he knew it belonged to. And it meant the world to the guy that he gave it to because he had been waiting on it, right? So just imagine orbs have that if, in this movie, figuratively speaking, this orb had the power to change someone's mind, to change an outcome, a situation, a circumstance. So it does say that not just anyone gets that power, a select few get that power, which if you take my words and have written it down, I basically just said this orb power was greater than ascended masters, human beings, because it takes levels. There's levels to it, right? So do you have an orb in your environment that they can help you like that? Or I don't know. I don't even know what that's about. But if you ever seen The Good Place, it's a series. You have to skip to the last episode of the last season to see what that orb did. And I thought that was super cool. And the story behind the movie was people who died multiple times, and even the ascended master dude got tired of being, the god of their afterworld and wanted to go do something else. And so orb was at the, you had been, almost God to, and I don't know if some of you are religious and like nothing is above God. I do get it. But each, in the movie, like each level, just like here where it talked about the different realms, each realm had their own leader or overseer or creator. Each realm had their own creator. Boom. And so even the creator of the realm got tired of being the creator of the realm. And this orb was like levels above that position, because this is something that the creator like could do if he wanted to, but he kind of decided to just go be a person. So, but the people who had kept reincarnating as people, and some of them became creators and creator assistants. It's a long story. Anywho, this was dope. And if you expand your mind some, right? If you're into movies and sci-fi, this was perfect for a starseed reading. That's why I like these cards, and I pulled them out just to kind of show you what we'll be getting into with these cards if you've seen me use them before. But I just absolutely love them. Okay. And I'm going to start using these so much more. Look at the vortex. We'd have to talk about that because they said that's where all of your, everything that you need and more is in the vortex to, you know, accompany you this lifetime and many more. Like all your stuff, money, whatever you need, whatever you can think of. So we are definitely, I'm going to have to pull this card out and we're going to meditate with the vortex and start talking about what is some of our vortex stuff. Look at that. The singularity. I love it. So anywho, if you liked it as much as I did, please give a thumbs up. I do appreciate those. I like reading you guys' comments. Tell me what you took from this. It was so interesting. Go back and listen to it again now that we've had this full discussion of the riddle and how this requires like great power, and I feel more than anything mentally, whereas a riddle would also. And then, you know, what we read about these cards, it's kind of dope. All right. Until next time, guys. Namaste.